there, friends. Today I am going to talk to you about the book Guards by Sir Terry Pratchett, and why I personally think that it is a good starting point if you're trying to get into the Discworld series. First things first, if you do any research at all into either Discworld or Guards specifically, you will find out that it is not book number 1 of the Discworld series. It's not even book number 2 or 3. It is book number 8. So you may be asking yourself, gee, why would you recommend book number 8 of this series as a good starting point? So my answer to that is that Discworld is more of a general setting than the traditional sense of a series. It has several different beginnings and several different story arcs within it. And because of that, it is easy to pick up at the beginning of one of these story arcs. Honestly, it's easy to pick up almost anywhere in the series. But that can make things confusing, which is why I'm making these videos to try to help people in the overwhelming world of Discworld. So yes, while this is not book number 1 of the Discworld series, it is a good starting point because it is the beginning of one of the series, which is often referred to as the Watch series, or the Watch collection, the Watch novels. It has many titles, just to make things a little more confusing. But yes, Guards does make a good beginning point because it does introduce new characters, a new setting, a new arc, and you won't be confused at having not read the first 7 books. Guards takes place in the most populated city on the disc called Ankh-Morpork. Ankh-Morpork is a flavorful sort of melting pot of a city. Think any big city in any movie you've seen. It's very overcrowded, it's very rough and tumble, it's very melting pot of all the different cultures and races on the disc. And it's very smelly. He likes to mention the odor of Ankh-Morpork quite a lot in the novels depicting it. Let's see. Ankh-Morpork is ruled by a patrician, and he has essentially made the local law enforcement called the City Watch obsolete. And he's done this by essentially allowing crimes to be legal, so they're not really crimes anymore, but only to a degree. There are certain guilds in Ankh-Morpork, such as the Thieves Guild and the Assassins Guild. There are also merchant guilds and whatnot, but these guilds are given licenses to commit these crimes, and essentially unlicensed thieving and the like is regulated by the Thieves Guild, thus making the Watch a little bit useless, because if someone's stealing things, either it's licensed stealing, so it's legal, so the Watch can't do anything, or it's unlicensed stealing, so it's illegal, and the Thieves Guild is handling it. Because of this, the City Watch has been reduced to sort of a motley crew, a ragtag group, and this produces a problem when apparently a political opponent of some kind summons a dragon to Ankh-Morpork. And suddenly, the Thieves Guild doesn't really cover that anymore. So we get to follow our little group of misfits to try to vanquish this dragon, and that's Guards Guards. Terry Pratchett excels at writing relatable characters. Personally, it is why I love him so much as an author. For example, the main protagonist of Guards Guards is a cynical alcoholic. Those are probably the two traits that you see first in him in reading this book. I myself am an optimist, and I have never been addicted to anything more seriously than coffee or video games. However, Terry Pratchett does such a good job writing this main character and making him dynamic and making him relatable and getting you inside his head that even though with a rough description like that, I would never think that I'd relate with this character, but I do so much. And that's just an example. This book does such a good job with so many characters and getting you inside the head of so many characters. And I love that. And I think that it's something that can effectively draw a lot of people in to this story. If you love characters and you love relating, then yes, definitely. And I think that that's one of Terry Pratchett's greatest talents in writing. And I think that it really shines through in Guards Guards. Reason number 2. There are 3 characters in this book who are immensely reoccurring throughout several series in Discworld. One is the main protagonist, Sam Vimes. He shows up in several books later on. The other is the patrician, of course, of Ankh-Morpork. He is the ruler of the city, as I mentioned earlier. And he sorry, Seuss. And as the ruler of Ankh-Morpork, almost any of the books that take place in this large city that is rather central to a lot of plots actually includes him in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's just a little mention of him or just a little nod, acknowledgement. He makes a little cameo. Sometimes he is surprisingly involved. In this one, he is surprisingly involved because, go figure, someone is trying to take over his city with a dragon, and there you go. Yes, and his name is Vetinari. The third character is the librarian of the Wizarding School that is also in Ankh-Morpork. Personally, I love seeing these crossover characters, and I always recommend that people start with books that are going to have these consistent characters even outside of their own series, because I think that it is a grounding point for Discworld novels. Of course, you don't have to do anything with Discworld novels. That's kind of the point of them almost. But I do think that that is one of the reasons why I recommend this one so much to people. Similarly, Ankh-Morpork is the setting for this one. And again, just like I like to give people the this recommendation based on the characters being widely used in Discworld books, Ankh-Morpork is a very important setting. It's the most populated city on Discworld. So even in ones that take place, novels that take place way far away, Ankh-Morpork is often mentioned. Just referenced even. And it's just a nice little touchstone to have, a little security blanket almost of, I know that place. I know what they're talking about. I know why they're saying that about this place. Even if you're reading about a religious cult out in the desert that has seemingly nothing to do with this city, when they reference it, then you know. And so, yes, similar to the characters, Ankh-Morpork, honestly, it's a city, but it's kind of its own little character in the end. My final reason is a little bit selfish, and it's simply that the Watch series is my favorite series in the Discworld setting. This is the first book of it. I love Sam Vimes. I think that he is a very good character, and I love his I love how Pratchett portrays him, and I love how he grows and evolves as a character as the series goes on. So this is a good entry point into that, especially if you love character, if one of your, I guess, main focuses in reading is character progression and character growth, then I definitely recommend starting with Guards. But yeah, that's my reasons. So yes, that is why I recommend Guards as an entry point to Discworld. Of course, you don't have to start there. You can start wherever you want. And if it sounds interesting to you, then by all means start there. But if not, then look elsewhere. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will see you around.